We, the people of this country, stand for the freedom of all political prisoners. The struggle for the freedom of the Cuban Five is more than any other a struggle for human rights and justice around the world. Many Americans are currently held as political prisoners in the United States. Ramsey Muniz, Mumia Abu-Jamal, and Leonard Peltier. Undocumented parents are held in camps for years without charges, leaving 4 million orphaned children. Even the prisoners in Guantanamo have been held for years without charges. So why are the Cuban Five so important? They have been in prison for 12 years because they fought against terrorism against their country, Cuba, and in no way caused harm to the people, the leaders, or the government of the United States. America adopted a Declaration of Independence from the British Empire. They declared life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to be the inalienable rights of all men. Of course, at this time, these ideas did not apply to women, slaves, indentured servants, or the native indigenous people. America has become the enemy of nations with aspirations just like our own, such as Cuba. This country has become an outlaw nation and a thief run by the rule of global corporations and unfair trade agreements. Democracy to them is an illusion, an excuse used to perpetrate wars to steal oil, natural resources, water and land, and to prevent the success of revolts of the people to rule themselves and control their country's destiny. This October, the UN General Assembly passed a resolution for the 19th consecutive year condemning the US blockade of Cuba, which is classified under international law as an act of genocide. 187 nations voted to end the US blockade of Cuba against the US and its ally Israel, who voted to continue it. The purpose of the US blockade is to undermine the Cuban government and the choice of the Cuban People's Revolution. The US will return Cuba to the days of the Batista's dictatorship, when the people suffered poverty, sickness, and illiteracy. The Cuban exiles who live in Miami are financially supported and trained by the US and have attacked Cuba over 6,000 times. Thousands of individuals and organizations, including many jurists, have spoken out against the harsh sentence and shamefully unfair trials of the Cuban Five, who caused no harm to the US and only tried to stop the attacks planned in Miami and carried out against the Cuban people. This is a struggle not only to free the 5 Cuban anti-terrorists, it is a fight for the fighters of the oppressed. We demand President Obama to pardon the Cuban Five or commute their sentence to time served. Until this is done, we demand that the State Department of the US grants visas to family members to visit. The US denial of visas to Adriana Perez and Olga Salanueva is a violation of international law and an act of torture. Finally, we demand that the confessed real terrorists Orlando Bosch and Luis Posada Carriles, who walk free on the streets of Miami, protected by this government, be arrested, jailed, and persecuted and extradited to Cuba or Venezuela, against whom they have committed their crimes.